Some engines make power. Some engines make history. But this one? This one was almost erased from it. A mechanical beast born in secrecy, killed by politics, and lost for decades until now. This is the untold story of Ford's Collopy V8, the experimental engine that could have changed racing forever, and the wild effort to bring it back to life in our time. Hello, this is Engines of Time. Thank you so much for watching, and before we start, please hit that subscribe button. It encourages me to make more videos like this, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. The obsession with forgotten power. It's interesting how easy it is to get captured by certain kinds of history. You start reading one article, watching one old clip, and suddenly you're deep in a rabbit hole, chasing the ghost of something extraordinary. That's exactly what happened to me while researching today's story. An engine so unique, so ahead of its time, that even Ford's own engineers could barely explain it without sounding insane. This wasn't just another racing motor. It was an experiment in mechanical warfare, a bold design meant to destroy Ferrari on the world stage. And yet, it vanished before it ever had the chance to prove itself. The era of total performance. Let's rewind the clock to the mid-1960s, the era of Ford's total performance program. This wasn't marketing fluff, it was corporate war. Ford's mission was simple: dominate every form of racing on the planet. Stock cars, drag racing, endurance races, rally stages, hill climbs, even Formula One. Ford wasn't just entering races, they were showing up to win them. They had the money, the engineers, and most importantly, the will to prove that the blue oval could beat anyone. And of course, at the center of it all, the GT40. The car that took on Ferrari at Le Mans and in 1966 made history. Henry Ford II wrote a blank check. Carroll Shelby brought the fire. And the GT40 delivered, crushing Ferrari in the most famous 24-hour race on Earth. But victory only made Ford hungrier, because while the GT40 had triumphed, their engineers were already thinking 2 steps ahead, toward an even greater weapon. The birth of a monster. Blueprints fade in, dramatic light over the engine drawings. Behind closed doors in Dearborn, Ford's engineers started work on a new secret project. They called it the Collopy V8. At first, it sounded simple. Build an engine that's lighter, more powerful, and more reliable than the 427 FE that powered the GT40. But what they created was something completely different. The Collopy wasn't a refinement, it was a revolution. A clean sheet design with no factory parts, no limits, and no compromises. The mission? Produce 650 horsepower, survive 24 hours at full throttle, and fit inside the new J-Car GT40. Sounds impossible, right? Not for Ford in 1967. Inside the beast. Now, here's where things get weird, in the best way possible. Most engines have 1 camshaft, or maybe 2. The Collopy had 2, but stacked on top of each other right in the middle of the block. The intake runners? They weren't bolted on, they were cast directly into the heads. The engine used individual runner fuel injection, unheard of in a time when carburetors ruled the world. Each cylinder had 3 valves, 2 intake, 1 exhaust, a strange choice that gave it both breathing power and reliability. And here's the kicker. There were no head gaskets. Instead, Ford used copper sealing rings around each cylinder, a radical idea even by today's standards. The result? An engine that looked and sounded like nothing else. A mechanical symphony with the name Collopy inspired by a 19th century steam-powered musical instrument. It was exotic, complex, brilliant, and it scared everyone who saw it. But then, as fast as it appeared, it was gone. A single line of regulation. A rule change that suddenly made Ford's experimental engine illegal for competition. Years of design, Millions in funding and countless nights of testing erased by the stroke of a pen. The Collopy V8 never roared down the Mulsanne Straight. It never had its Le Mans debut. It became the engine that never was. Ford shelved it quietly. The blueprints disappeared, and the legend faded into obscurity. Lost, but not gone forever. For decades, the Collopy was just a whisper among Ford historians, a rumor, a myth. But in recent years, something unbelievable happened. A small team of engineers and restorers, passionate about Ford's lost innovations, found surviving parts and documents. Piece by piece, they began reconstructing it using modern technology, CAD modeling, 3D scanning, and CNC machining. They're bringing the Collopy V8 back to life. It's no longer a ghost from the past. It's breathing again, rebuilt, reimagined, and ready to show what it could have done back in 1967. So, why should we care about an engine that never raced? Because it represents something rare. A moment when engineers were allowed to dream without limits. Before corporate lawyers, before emission rules, before budgets killed innovation. The Collopy V8 was a symbol of what happens when creativity and competition collide. It's not just an engine, it's a reminder that progress comes from the brave few who dare to go too far. And now, thanks to modern enthusiasts, we get to see that spirit alive again. So when that first rebuilt Collopy V8 fires up again, it won't just be noise. It'll be history, roaring back to life. If you love stories like this about lost technology, forgotten machines, and the men who built them, make sure you subscribe. Your support keeps this channel alive and helps me tell more stories like this one. Drop a comment below. Do you think Ford could have dominated even more if the Collopy had raced? Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes history's greatest engines are the ones that never got the chance to run.